I really thought we would be back to our window grill project by now, but I have another project that I promised somebody that I would have completed by tomorrow so they could come by and pick it up tomorrow morning, and I think I had better get that done. So this project is really fairly straightforward. It's a bar that in this case will be used to hang clothes in a laundry room, but the exact same system could be used as a curtain rod, a paper towel holder, a toilet paper holder, just about anything you can think of that needs a bracket and a bar. So the bracket is the main thing here. The bar is very optional, whether it's a square bar, round bar. In this case, it'll be a square bar with twists because that's what was requested. But here's the bracket that I'm going to make. This is the hook I'm working on. It's made out of a single piece of 1/4 by 3/4 by 11.5 inches. The reason for that length is because when I went looking for this size material, which I thought is what I wanted to use, I had a 23-inch piece, so I cut it 11.5 inches so I get 2 pieces out of it. Nothing magical. Feel free to upsize this, change sizes. This is just a concept, not a finished product. One of the key elements that it holds this 1/2 inch square bar solidly so it won't turn. And that's real important for the finished project because this is going to be used as a clothes hanger and I don't want the bar to roll and dump stuff off of it. So if you're doing like a curtain rod, it's probably not as important. Curtain rods don't really matter if they roll a little bit. And in the middle of this project I'll actually make 2 that are round because I'm going to put a twist the full length of the bar and the round hook will hold the twist better. Tooling for this project is really pretty simple. Mostly it's forge hammer, anvil. You'll need tongs to hold the bracket with. These slotted jaw tongs work pretty well for most of this, although when you get up here around this hook, you kind of lose the ability to come in here with the slotted jaw tongs quite so easily. So for that end, a pair of V-bit tongs might be better. But whatever you have, you can figure out a way to make it work. The other tool that we'll need is a little bending fork. This is just 1/2 inch round bar bent to lock in the vise, and that'll be used to help bend this hook. But it needs to be a square bottomed hook on at least 2 of these, this one and one other. And for that, just a piece of scrap 1/2 inch by 1 1/4 or 1 1/2 inch square bar that I can put in there and work this around, and that gives me a little mandrel of sorts or form that I can use to make sure that I get a nice fit on this hook. That's really about it. So I got some stuff hot in the fire. Let's get started. I want to start with the hook end, and to do that I'm just going to make a simple little taper, and I'm going to do a little bit of a scroll on this. I'm going to keep this parallel in the wide dimension and taper only in the skinny dimension. This is good practice for getting ready to do some ribbon scrolls. With the end fairly even, symmetrical. And I'm going to go ahead and chamfer the corners before I do the hook because I'll never be able to get in there to do it again. I just want to put a nice little scroll at the end there. So just a simple little curl at the end like we do in so many projects. This just happens to be in 3/4 inch wide material. Next thing I want to do is I want to start bending my hook. This little bending fork does a very nice job of making exactly the hook I want. Now my plan was to put the spacer in here. You clamp that in the vise this way and then you can bend over the spacer, but because my little scroll bit here sticks out, I can't do that. So I'm going to have to bend the hook first. And luckily my little bending fork here just happens to be ideal for this bend as well, but it makes a round bottom bend. Not really a big deal. Now I have something I can put my spacer in. Now this is one of those things that kind of goes back and forth between the anvil and the vise until you get it to start fitting, and then most of it gets done at the vise. If I had a little wider piece of 1/2 inch flat bar, this would be easier because then I could just drive it down straight here, but I have to worry about ruining my curl there. So we'll go back to the vise and I'll show you what I do to fix that. Hang that on that spacer and bring that up as far as I can in the vise, which is not very far. I'm going to have to just get in there with the peen and square that up some. Another thing we can do is just take a piece of scrap bar and that should make a pretty nice square bottomed hook there, or flat bottomed hook. So that's pretty much what we're after there. The next thing I want to do, I'm going to go ahead and flip it end for end. I'm going to upset this end, punch my holes, and then I'll do the rest of these bends. That upset is purely ornamental, just to give a finished end to the bar so it looks better. Just clean that up and make sure it's flat over here at the anvil. I'm going to lightly chamfer the edges just on this surface. The other side's flat against the wall, so I don't need to chamfer those. I want it to fit tight against the wall. And sometimes sticking the corner of the anvil into the upset will help flatten that out. Next I want to punch 2 holes. I'm going to use my previous bracket as a guide so that the holes end up in the same place. And those are just center punch marks I'll be able to find to line myself up on. I should have marked those on the other side. I'd rather start punching this from the back side. I'll explain why in a second. And yes, you could drill these holes, that's not a problem. Now, for one thing, my upset is off the edge, so I'm not damaging it. But here I need to come over to the Pritchell hole to punch through. So now my upset is up and is, again, not a problem. The other thing is that often the back of the hole isn't as pretty after punching through like that. I don't know if you can see that or not, but it's kind of ragged here. And I'll probably run a drill bit through there, but I don't want those scars from the Pritchell hole on the front. I want them on the back. The same thing will hold true for the hole on the other side. Start from what will be the back, in this case. Then flip it over and finish it up from the front, and this will be the pretty part. There's a couple of holes. Our next thing to do is to put the other bend in it. It's a very similar bend to what we've done before. And it gets it started, and we'll refine that a little bit. I'll actually put that 1/2-inch spacer block back in there. This back in there, we can now clamp this up in the vise and hold that, and that gives us a much better surface to work on here. Try and keep everything lined up. That's pretty close. I've overbent a little bit, but that's real easy to fix at the anvil. Easy enough to put the spacer back in. And that should pretty much be the square-ended hook. It's a lot more fiddly than the round-ended hook, and we'll do one of the round-ended ones as well. So those hooks pretty closely match. The next thing I want to do is make this other bend. So, take my center punch. And mark where this bend goes. Just going to line my center punch up with the vise jaw. And I can pull down and work it with a hammer. You saw that really wants to bend right at the hole, so you got to be careful and be in control of what you're doing there. And just a little refinement at the anvil, and this is another hook done. This is just a chance to make sure that nothing is twisted or canted or looking really bizarre here. I think that looks pretty good. So that's the square hook, and again, that's for a piece of 1/2-inch square bar so it can't twist and turn while it hangs in here. So we'll talk a little bit about the round hook, which is much easier, and then I'll show you how I'm going to do the square bar. Even though it is not a requirement for these hooks, you can do lots of different bars to go in these hooks. The brackets with the round hooks will look just exactly the same, except it'll be round. So we're going to start with a little scrolled in, just like that. We'll go to our bending fork. I've gone to a slightly larger fork here, just so I can have a bigger round. And this will also give me the ability to bend this and do the back bend right now, even though I don't really need to and didn't on the first one. Doing the round stuff is really a lot easier than doing the square stuff. I'm going to do the same little upset on these brackets. Everything else is identical. Like before, we'll use an existing hook to mark for the holes. Let's mark them on the back side this time, like we should have the last time. Just trying to get that hook to balance on there. Of course, the act of punching the holes remains unchanged. If you're lucky, you got enough heat to do both of them. I may not be that lucky. How about that? Okay, now we'll mark for our bend. I don't know if I've ever shown this center punch before. It's one I use under the treadle hammer. It's just a little short scrap of 01 that I had that I made a center punch, punched a hole through it, and peened over a bar for a handle. Pretty simple. Maybe we'll make one like that someday. Line the center punch mark up and bend, but remember it wants to bend at the hole, so use the hammer to control it. And then back over to the anvil to straighten that mess up. This is just our chance to make everything straight and pretty. This is a place where the square horn on the 2-horn anvil can really come in handy. Okay, so that's the round hook. Looks straight. And that will then be a nice complement to the square hook. And when you're looking at the front of the overall rack, you probably won't even tell the difference. Those little brackets or arms or holders, whatever you want to call them, were really the main purpose of doing the video today. Those are a very versatile thing that can be used for a lot of different projects. But because this is a specific project with a specific goal, I'll go ahead and make the other piece that goes with it. But do think about them as separate things. You don't have to make a project like this and do what I'm going to do next, which is the bar that will hang the clothes, and I'll try to explain why it is what it is as far as I understand it. But you don't have to do that. You can be making curtain rods, toilet paper holders, paper towel holders, clothes racks, pot racks. Those brackets and a similar bar could be used for so many other options. I'm going to start with a piece of 1/2-inch square bar. This is 50 inches long. The request was for a 48-inch long piece. So this gives me room for the hanging brackets and an upset on each end to make it look a little bit better instead of just having a cutoff bar. And then it's going to have a twist the full length, and it's a single twist, nothing fancy or ornamental. And the purpose of the twist, this is going to hold coat hangers, but they can't hang 90 degrees because there's not enough room where it's going to go, so they want them to cant over somewhere. So the twist will force the coat hangers to hang at an angle. And you can hang a coat hanger at every twist if you want to. So that's the idea. We'll see how it works out. A good way to do this upset is on an upsetting block on the floor. As it starts to bend, bring it up to the anvil and straighten it out. This will probably only take 1 or 2 heats to do this. I think just a hair more. Another option, if your bar isn't too long, is to just put it in the vise and upset it with a hammer. And a quick evening up. That's really all we need to do for the upset. That'll keep it from sliding out of the bar or the brackets end to end, and just provides a little bit of a finished appearance to the end. And I'm only going to chamfer just a little tiny bit of this because the rest of this is going to get twisted. I'm just going to have to do this in short sections. I don't have any way to get that much bar hot, nor do I have a way to twist this cold. That looks like about enough twist. Just have to kind of judge by eye here. And I want to use the vise on the diamond to straighten these. And there'll be a little straightening here after it's cold. So this is just going to be a little slow process. I'll take the next heat and I'll have to cool this part off so I don't over twist it while I'm twisting the next section. Okay, now that's twisting a little faster right in the middle. I don't want that. My other option here is to get the torch out, and we may need to do that. That's not too bad. I'm going to try a little more selective cooling here instead of getting the torch out if I don't need it. I think that did the trick. That looks pretty good. So we're just going to keep doing that the whole length of the bar. As we get to the other end, we'll have to flip-flop it and make sure the twist is cool, because we'll be locking the twist in the vise and we don't want to mess it up by squeezing it too hard. We want to leave enough straight bar here for the bracket to engage with. That is that. Like I say, I need to straighten this at the stump with a rawhide mallet, but I'll wait till it's cool. That project's completed. Remember, I started with 50 inches of bar instead of the 48 inches requested, because I knew it would shrink somewhere. The upsets and the twist took up 1.25 inches, so I actually ended up with just a hair over the 48 inches, 48 3/4, which hopefully will be okay. If not, I'll make another bar for them. And the request was also originally for 3 brackets. I made 4 just in case they change their mind. Plus, then I have a sample for future reference if I need one. These brackets like this, like I say, are a standalone project for so many different possibilities. And they don't have to be this size. They can be bigger. They can be smaller. I've made them out of 1/2 by 1/8 inch for little tiny sheer curtains. And I've made them out of 3/8 by 1.5. And they're never all the same brackets. You can do different things at the ends. The upset's just one option. I forged this out and put a leaf on it. You can put scrolls on it. You can put hooks to hang things on. Use your imagination. Have fun with the project. This is just what this project was, but like I say, curtain rods, towel holders, pot racks, toilet paper holders, paper towel holders, anything that needs a bar. You could make some sort of a tool holder for your shop this way. Sky's the limit. So I hope you enjoyed that. Hope you found it useful. Thanks for sticking around. We will get back to that window grill project, I promise you. I don't know if I'll get it tomorrow or not, but we will try very soon to get back and start making some scrolls. In the meantime, if you like the video, do give it a thumbs up. Love it if you hit that subscribe button. Watch some more of the videos, then get out to the shop, make something, but do stay safe. Wear your safety glasses, and we will see you for the next one. Thanks.